Hello, Judith.
Hello.
And Joyce, hello.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah, we're going to have we're having a little bit of music, and then we'll start about 2 minutes after 5. Nice to see you both. 3 times of you, Anne, Joyce, and Judith. Can you hear the harp?
I can see the harp. It's beautiful.
So beautiful. I love your necklace, Joyce. I don't know what it is, but it's really pretty.
It's like coins. It's muted.
Joyce, you're muted, but that's okay.
Just for you.
What is the necklace?
It's just sparkly.
Beautiful. Hi, Judith. Welcome. Welcome, Tez. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Shed a tear on that one. Hi, Joni. Welcome. Thank you, Tammy. That was just beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you for playing Ode to Joy, and I didn't cry. That was Robert's harmonica. And whenever we made a speech anywhere in the world, he would always play the harmonica to open up our hearts. And that's why I wanted you to play the harp tonight, Tammy. This is Tammy Briggs, and I thank her for playing her harp. She's new to me. I met her on our Rotary E-Club of World Peace, and she played the harp, and she opened up our hearts. And the Rotary E-Club is why we're together tonight. We were having a meeting on Tuesday, and my intuition said, maybe you should have a Zoom New Year's Eve gathering. And it just was like, maybe you should do that. Well, the first thing I did was call Joyce Wyckoff. And I said, Joyce, what do you think? Because she designed the invitation with Parrish, you know, it's now Midnight in Paris. She designed that. And I found it on the internet, and it was such a perfect image of the Eiffel Tower with all of the beautiful ways that you celebrate. And there it was. And so then she designed it, and then we started talking, and I said, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Hi, Elizabeth. Elizabeth, all the way from Hawaii. And so tonight is kind of a gathering of very significant women on our planet. And I thank each of you for joining me. Each of you are in my heart and are part of something bigger than me. And I just thought, why don't we get together for an hour and celebrate that we're here? So many of us aren't. And that brings tears to my eyes. I'm with you, Joni. We could do a litany of all those whose shoulders we stand on. But I also want to thank each of you for bringing your spirit to tonight. You know, there's just no way that I can tell you the gifts that each of you bring. And your gifts are so powerful. And I remember the Dalai Lama saying to Robert, a Western woman is going to save our planet. And I thought, why not? Why not? And so here we are. So let me just thank you for being with me tonight. And thank you for being here. And then I'm just going to ask us to think about, what are we grateful for in 2022? It's going to be kind of a free-flowing evening, depending on how it goes. What are you grateful for in 2021 before we go into 2022? And that will give us the time. Judith Harris, a little bit higher so we can see that gorgeous necklace you have on. Thank you. And Sylvia Whitlock just joined us. So I thought we'd start. I'm just going to call your name out. And if you could just say your name and then tell us something that you're grateful for in 2021. What are you bringing? What gratitude are you bringing to this meeting? And welcome, Sylvia Whitlock. I'm so glad you're here. Joyce, are you there? I don't see you.
I am.
Okay, would you put your camera on?
I'm here. Put my what on? Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to take my video off. Okay, there. You should see me now.
Thank you. Joyce Wyckoff, would you start tonight? I want you to know Joyce Wyckoff is the designer of the Peace Podcast Community Magazine and so many other things. So Joyce, what are you tell us your name and what are you grateful for?
I'm Joyce Wyckoff, and for just a moment, I was really grateful because we had a very young person on here, but apparently the young person has gone away. So I think there must be a grandmother on here, and I don't see your name. So
that's
Sylvia.
Sylvia Whitlock's grandchild, right, Sylvia?
Yes. Oh, that was delightful to see a new person on the planet. So I am very grateful for 2021, in spite of all the things that were a little more challenging. Probably the biggest thing that I'm grateful for this year is about mid-year. I started to revise an old project. In 2016, I went to a webinar kind of thing, and they were talking about low content books. And that meant basically journals. So I thought, oh, that sounds like fun. I can make a gratitude journal, because I'd been wanting to practice gratitude in a more practice form rather than just in sort of the happenstance form. So about mid through the year, a friend of mine and I were looking at this journal that I put out in 2016 and deciding to make it in a workbook format. And so we started off and decided it needed a new title. So I went to the title queen, Barbara, and she said the word mojo. And I wasn't quite familiar with the word mojo, but I thought it was kind of cool. So we started off on this Gratitude Mojo project, which was supposed to be just a revision. You know, just put it in the bigger format. Don't do anything else to it. Well, that doesn't work for me. So we're now completely reinventing it. And I'm so thankful for this project because it's turning out to be my life's work. And I'm getting it to do it with two women I absolutely adore. Barbara's one, and a friend on the East Coast is the other. So this has been the biggest gift of the year. And I'm just delighted to be here tonight.
Joyce, I thank you. And I love the gratitude mojo. I wake up in the morning and I light my candle and I start to write my gratitude. And she gives you enough space in the new journal. And so I'm going to go to Tammy. Tammy, what are you grateful for in 2021?
So I'm Tammy Briggs. I live in Minneapolis, in very cold Minneapolis tonight. So those of us that are from this city are in our woolens probably. Um, I am grateful that I found the peace community after literally searching for 45 plus years. Pathways to Peace, Joni, Tez, Avon, and also to segue what Joyce was saying and Sylvia's grandchild, my niece had a little baby.
Oh.
That's a
Oh,
cute baby.
And she's 2 weeks old in this picture. And when she came in on the cusp of the full moon on November 18th and the lunar eclipse on the 19th. And the message I got was she's got a very big purpose. And part of her purpose, I believe, is to help heal our family system. And she's already been doing that. And I'm just so grateful to her. And she's just a light, going to be a bright light. So
Thank you, Tammy. That's
I never had children. I never had children, so this little great niece is very special to me.
and you will enjoy every visit you have with her.
Yeah.
Anne, would you like to tell us what you're grateful for in 2021?
I would say the timing was also mid-year, so I'm wondering if that's going to be a theme. But I met Sister Jenna, actually, for the first time after people for years saying to me, because I used to work in DC half-time, you have to meet this Sister Jenna. I'm like, really? Why? And then I met her. And it's like the floodgates opened up. And I've been working in the area of peace leadership for years, but just felt like I wasn't getting the traction that was needed. And I'd even met Barbara years before. But all of a sudden, after meeting her and learning a lot about myself, just so much opened up for me, and so many messages and signals, and now working more sort of more systematically with women in peace. And it was an amazing, amazing opportunity that I know will carry through into 2022. And then, of course, cascading from that was reconnecting more deeply with Barbara. So.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Judith Mueller, what are you grateful for?
Gosh, I am grateful to be
Oh,
alive.
Judith Harris. Okay, Judith
Oh,
Harris.
I'm sorry. Was it a different Judith?
We have 3 Judiths on tonight.
Okay, I'll be mute. If I wasn't.
You go ahead, Judith Mueller.
I'm grateful for friends, for a group of women that I know in the church, and for you, Barbara, especially. And I'm going to have to leave early tonight, I'm sad to say, because I'm going out with friends. So it's been really good. The people who have seen me through this year, and I'm looking forward. I'm making a plan to do the gratitude journal as my resolution for the coming year. And in the morning when I have my coffee, that's a perfect time. I usually look around for something to read, but I think gratitude is better.
Isn't that beautiful? Judith had the privilege of joining Joyce and I for Joyce's birthday this year.
Yes.
And we were going to go to a restaurant, but we said, no, let's just have a luncheon here. And we opened up a bottle of champagne and we talked about what we were grateful for, especially Joyce. And Joyce takes so much time to write these things, the gratitude miracles that come from it. Tess, she mentioned your name. Let's have you be next.
Well, I'm Tezzekiah Gabriel. People call me Tez because Tezzekiah is a mouthful. In this moment, what comes to mind for me in terms of being grateful is that coming through some tender and difficult times with the loss of Avon this past year, that what the result has been that I've been able to draw so many amazing peace leaders closer. And 3 of them are on this call, Joni and Tammy and you, Barbara. I left a voicemail for Barbara saying, your voicemails are just so uplifting. You know, you cannot buy that kind of uplifting spirit that comes through when you leave a voicemail for me, Barbara, or I hear your voice. And the other thing that feels just kind of boundless right now that has come through the events of this past year, it just feels like I'm standing in unlimited possibilities.
Beautiful.
And
Unlimited possibilities. Maybe that should be our title.
and I just feel that. And so just in every conversation or everything I look at it, there's an opportunity or a possibility that comes up. And so it just feels like it's a time of just explosive energy on the planet. Of course, our dear Avon is supporting it on the other side. And as her energy exploded beyond the 3D, and I'm feeling it from above as well as here on the planet. So I'm grateful for all of that. And Joni and Tammy know how grateful I am for them. And so, Barbara, I'm very grateful for you. And now I'll add this collection of women to my being grateful for bringing more peace leaders closer. And of course, in these times, most of those peace leaders are powerful women. So thank you.
Thank you. Judith Harris, how about you?
I am grateful for so much. I was very isolated for about 20 months. I had no one in and I couldn't leave at all. So my younger son lives nearby and I didn't see him in person, but he left groceries at my door and he took down my trash and he picked up my mail. And for all that time, I went to a few doctor appointments, terrified, traumatized, but that was the only outing I had until fairly recently. And it actually worked out quite well. New friendships were made, new relationships, and I have to say, being a part of UNA really sustained me. It has for the last 20 years since I joined. I knew that I could continue doing the work, and it was actually, I can't say easier, but we did it in a different way that I think actually made it more inclusive. Doing things online, people could drop in for an hour instead of parking and driving and planning. So we really took advantage of that. And working with Barbara has been one of the joys of my life. Barbara energizes me, she inspires me, and I'm so honored to be invited. I usually don't do anything on New Year's Eve. I'm always home and I do something kind of quietly by myself and maybe talk to a few friends, but this is really special. So I'm very grateful to still be alive. And I think I'm healthier and happier than I have ever been in my life, which was totally unexpected. I never dreamed that my life would be the way it is. So when people say, how are you? I said, I'm fine. They said, but you can't see anybody. You can't go anywhere. I said, but I'm here and I can communicate with the world. We have Zoom. And I said, I never, like I said, I never could have dreamed that my life would be like this. I had an incredible career that I was forced to resign from a few years ago because of health issues, but I'm still in contact with my friends. We had a call yesterday, and I've had some time with my granddaughters who live in Dallas that I wouldn't have had during a normal year. So I guess I'm grateful for everything.
Thank you, Judith. And that brings me up to Sylvia. There's so many of you are pioneers, women who have made a difference. And I could tell you the story about Judith. I could tell you a story about Joyce. I could tell you a story about every one of you. But I just want to hear what you're grateful for. And I am so grateful you're here. Sylvia Whitlock.
You know, I thought about that question. And I thought that in the last year or two during the pandemic, with all the problems that we've had, with all the ugliness that's reared its ugly head, there's been a lot of beauty. I walk every day for about a half hour. I see flowers I never noticed before. I see trees I never noticed before. I see palms I never noticed before. Taking pictures of them, we've made them into coasters for Rotary, and we've done all of that. So in all of the ugliness, there's a lot of beauty if we just stop and look for it. And I recognized it for the first time this year, and I'm really grateful for that. I'm also grateful for the fact that my 3 grandchildren were here for Christmas. Yeah, along with my son and his wife. And so we had a wonderful Christmas day. There wasn't one surface area in my house that wasn't covered. But they're gone home and they're safely home. It was nice to have them. I'm grateful for all the things. Further from church, because we Zoom now, but closer to God. We've done a lot more studying on Zoom than we did when we were going to church every Sunday. So there's so many things. All we have to do is really look, and I'm glad I've learned how to look for the great stuff. UNA has been really prominent in my life this year, and I'm grateful for that. Grateful for you, Barbara.
Thank you.
And Judith and all those familiar faces that I see at all these meetings.
Thank you. Judith McDermott.
Hello, hello. Boy, I am so delighted to be among all these unique women I have never met before. Barbara and I have been friends for a long time in education, a long time ago. But I've got so many things that I'm grateful for that I don't know where to start. But and I'm not going to say a lot, but I wanted to, who knew that we were going to be living in fear and masked for almost 2 years? I mean, who knew that was going to happen 2 years ago? It's just incredible. And look at all the things that we're saying we're grateful for. We are persistent. We have lived through it. So I'm really grateful for my health. I just had a physical with the doctor and everything is wonderful. And you know, I'm really grateful for Zoom. We've been Zooming for a couple of years now and meeting people, and it really took away from the closed off that Judith was talking about, the hibernation. The Zooming was just a wonderful thing to do. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was about 5 years ago, I was asked to take over the coordination of a group called Word and Life. And it's been Zooming ever since. We've been Zooming since last March. But this coming up, we have John Philip Newell. We're going to be doing his book. It's called Sacred Earth and Sacred Soul. And we are all looking forward to a 10-week tour of Celtic Christianity. So lots of good things happening in 2022.
There's so much that I could say, but I'm going to go right to Elizabeth because Sylvia, you brought something very dear to Elizabeth, our environment. Elizabeth, let's you go next.
Aloha from Honolulu, all you wonderful women. I'm grateful, first of all, Barbara, that you brought us together, of course, you wonderful lady and friend. It's interesting because 2021 was the most challenging year of my life. Very crippling, intractable chronic pain and thinking I was at the end of, that I wasn't going to go much beyond this year and wouldn't make it to the end of next year for sure. And yet there were so many things in this year that were wonderful.
Oh, you pressed the button.
Elizabeth, yeah, she'll come back. There she is.
Okay. One of the wonderful things was taking a dream class that gave me a whole new insight that was important to me. Meeting a new friend who's become very important in my life. Sylvia mentioned trees. I see trees from my lanai right behind those white curtains behind me. And one of them I talk to a lot and has been helpful to me, as other trees have been in my life. And just looking back on my life, I'm so grateful that I got to speak and work in the most wide variety of venues I think anyone can ever claim as a speaker. From religion and science and governments and fashion and conscious clothing, of course, and the latest consultancy with Dubai 2040. How do we do, Dubai 2040, and all kinds of things like that. So it's been an incredible year in many ways, so challenging. And just when I was giving up, a really miraculous gift came to me just a couple of days ago. And everything to manifest this offer, it's a month in a healing spa in Florida.
Oh.
Completely free if I could get myself there. Well, I didn't think I was ever going to board another airplane. I'm so crippled, right? But I went ahead and I found the perfect flight that got as near as I could do it. And I just went ahead and booked it. And then everything fell into place. Sharon Joy Kleitch, do any of you know her in Tampa Bay, Florida, said, I'm going to drive to the Orlando airport and pick you up, drive you those 150 miles to where you're going in Naples. And so it reminded me of the way I used to live my life when I had what I called a spirit call and had no means to fulfill it, but trusted it as a spirit call and put one foot in front of the other, and everything came out just a step at a time at the right moment. And I'd completely lost that. And this has gotten it back for me. So incredibly.
That is so beautiful that it's back.
Butterflies.
I know. That trust is so powerful. Joni, may I have you come next, please?
Yes, you may. Elizabeth, you inspire me. You all inspire me. And I just want to say, I don't know if you remember, Elizabeth, but we walked the streets in Croatia together many years ago. We were there for a peace conference. It's so nice to see you. And I am grateful for so many things. We've just come through the worst part of losing dear Avon, and I'm grateful to be sipping the wine that she left me in this beautiful goblet that she left me. And so many, you can't really see it, but anyway, and having just finished the book that we wrote together, and thankfully she gave me all of her input before she left for the worlds beyond, and see Robert and so many others that are in the worlds beyond. And I just have a tremendous amount of gratitude. And I have to share with you this paragraph from an article called Reflections by Suzanne Sadowsky, Reflections on Friendship. Some friends are friends forever, even if after they have gone. They are the people who can look into your soul. You can tell them anything. There are no filters. There is no judgment, just presence. They are here for you. Deep love, trust, total acceptance. That is not to say that there is total agreement or complicity with whatever you have said or done. In fact, friends are there to ask you the most difficult of questions, to understand who you are at the deepest level of your thoughts and feelings. When there is trouble in your life, they show up. And when there is laughter, they are there also. And when they think you have something to learn that you might not have thought about, They are there to teach you, to comfort you, to offer solace in times of pain or loss, to offer insight and hope. And I have many friends and am very grateful for that. And I just want to mention how grateful I am that Hezekiah and Tammy have come into my life in the last couple of years. I don't know where I'd be without you. I really don't. With Avon gone and Tez, you have just jumped in with both feet and are the greatest blessing. And many thanks to Barbara, who I've known for many years, and I could say a lot about you and Robert, what lovebirds you were, and what a special part of my life. And just so much gratitude for the life that I've had and the friends that I still have, and blessings to come. Thank you. Thank
I
you.
love what you said. So many friends and so many blessings to come. Each of you have brought tears to my eyes. You'll see me kind of wiping a little, because the words that you said are so heartfelt, so gorgeous, so real. And this is such a gift. And I think what I'm grateful for is the gift of the heart, that we can open up our heart and be in coherence. I was telling my son, it's okay, honey, I'm incoherent, Mom? And I said, no, incoherence. Leave it to the humor of our kids. And he was here today, and he said, I know you have a busy day, so I'm only going to be here for a little while. And then he just brings in his masculine energy. And I'm really loving the fact that I'm alone. I don't think I've ever been alone, this alone. And I love it. I'm speaking to the spirit world beyond. I'm thanking Robert for being in my life. I'm thanking Sig for letting me have a life estate here so I can have the quiet, that I can do my peace podcast in quiet and in solitude and listen to the wisdom of the people like yourselves who are here. And it's just so beautiful. And it makes me think of Robert. I asked you each to bring something that you'd like to read. And Joni started us off on that tonight, to bring something that you would like to share. So I'm going to be first tonight on this one. I'm going to share something from Robert Mueller. Those of you who know me know that I was married to Robert for 17 years, and he was the Assistant Secretary General at the United Nations, retired. And he was much older than me, 20 years. And I said, when he asked me to marry him, I don't know, you're 20 years older, but I sure do like what you do in the world. And so I went to Joyce Wyckoff, who was running the Innovative Network, and I said, Joyce, Robert Mueller asked me to marry him. What do you think? And she said, if you even have 10 minutes with him, it's worth it. And I said, yes, Robert, let's get married. Then we decided we weren't going to get married. The minute you say no, the universe comes forth, as I think you shared today about the universe coming forth and giving you another message. It was my mother. My mother said, when are you going to stop living in sin? I never thought I was living in sin. I thought I was living in love, but that's a mother. So I looked at Robert and I said, you know, yesterday, Robert, we said we weren't going to get married because we were having an argument over the photocopy machine. If you can imagine the stupidities that we take seriously. So he said, you know something? Your mother's right. We should get married. And I said, and this is for Elizabeth, okay, Robert, if we're supposed to get married, everything will fall into place by Friday. Our children will fly to us. We will find the mayor of New York. We will get a marriage license. We will do everything by Friday. This was Sunday. By Friday, my children were knocking on the door. Robert's children were knocking on the door. The florist was down the corner. That was her last week in business. My granddaughters came. I had 9 grandchildren from Robert. His wife had died. And when they saw me, they said, Grandma, you can't wear a black dress. And I said, but look at all the flowers I have for you. You're going to be bridesmaids and you're going to have flowers in your hair. They could have cared less what I was wearing. But you know, because I was in New York, I couldn't get a new dress. I wore my black dress. If that black dress could talk, it's my signature dress. I wrote an article for Thrive Global. I wrote about if this dress could talk. I spent more money than I've ever spent on anything, and it lasted 20 years. I fell in love with Robert in that dress. I buried him in that dress. That's my story. And so tonight I'm going to read something from Robert, and then I'm going to ask you each to share something that you brought that will inspire us. And he wrote, love your life. Believe in your own power, your own potential, and your own innate goodness. Every morning, wake up with happiness at being alive and show the belief and the optimism that you believe in miracles. Right, Elizabeth? We believe in miracles. Make a list of those miracles because others are bound to come. And Robert was the most quoted man on Google when I first met him, and that was 1994. Since that time, everybody's on Google, so he's not the most quoted man anymore. But when I looked him up and I saw what he had said and how he spoke and how he played Ode to Joy, so I am so grateful for those who have gone before us, who have left their legacy of love, who have left their legacy of wisdom. And now I look at you ladies as wisdom keepers, and I thank you for bringing your wisdom tonight. And so I'm not going to tell you who's going to go next, but whoever feels so inspired, just give me a finger and you're next to read what you brought tonight. All right, Anne? Thank you.
Well, this is a little less about reading and a little bit more about a story, but this is related to the story. I think you might be able to see.
Prophet the Hat Maker's Son.
So, of course, when you and I reconnected, I thought I must get this book per your recommendation. And can you see? It's a signed copy. I have Robert's signature right here next to my heart. Is that not crazy? So anyway, but the rest of the story related to miracles, related to synchronicities, is that shortly, 2 weeks after I met Sister Jenna in June, a blast went out about, does anyone want to contribute to a book on meditation? And for a second I thought, well, what do I have to contribute to that? And then I thought, oh, I have a great story for that. And so I just quickly sent it off, literally first draft, and it gets accepted. And so it's going to be published on February 2nd, 2022. But I wanted to share the story because we had to condense it a little bit. But I think it's inspirational and somewhat interesting. And it involves India and all kinds of amazing things. So, about 2015, 2016, my husband was taking me to the airport to go to India, probably only my second time there. And you know, on the side of the road, when high schools are having an open house, they put those little signs in the yard, you know, a little yard sign, open house on November 20th. And both of our kids were right where they needed to be, never gave a thought to them changing schools or anything. And I looked at my husband, I said, can you take Brandon to that open house tomorrow? And he went, okay. I think by now he's learned you just roll with these things when they come out of her mouth. So I go out to the airport, you know, get on my 15-hour flight, get to India. And of course, the Wi-Fi wasn't on, and, you know, meditation's at 5 in the morning. So I go into meditation, and usually in meditation, it's something like, you know, how can I be of service? You know, how do you want to use me today, et cetera, et cetera. But for some reason towards the end, I was like, so what was up with that St. X sign, that St. Xavier High School sign? And all of a sudden I look up at the ceiling, which who does that in meditation? And there's a big X on the ceiling. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never noticed this. Why would there be an X on the ceiling? So of course I know he's going to get into this high school. He's going to want to go to this high school. None of it made any sense because it was a Jesuit high school and all boys. None of those were of interest to my son, but he does. He goes, he gets in. A year to the exact day later, I go back to India because I'm a creature of habit. I go to the exact same spot for meditation, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna check. I'm gonna check and see if there's an X on the ceiling. I bet there's not an X on the ceiling. That was somebody just messing with me. So I get in there, you know, and I hold off as long as I can, and I look up at the ceiling, and there's no X. There's a heart. Like, okay, I get it. Well, you'd think, well, what does this kid going to this high school, why was that so important? And then we found out years later that the long story short is he wound up getting into West Point. At that point, we never knew he even was interested in an academy. But as a freshman, his senior student mentor was applying to West Point. And so Brandon went through the whole thing with him. And so and then he winds up getting accepted and he's in his third year. And so we can just hardly wait to see what the rest has to do with this little X on the ceiling. But anyway, that is what I wanted to share with you all.
That's
so
beautiful.
Thank you for humoring me.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So beautiful. There are the invisible unemployed saints that keep helping us. And I know that. I just get out of the way and I try to tell my brain, don't think, just be, and let that message come to you because you know it's there, and trust that you're in the right place at the right time. Thank you. Thank you so much, Anne. And whoever would like to go next? Now don't all jump. Go ahead, Tazakawa. Yes.
So I really thought I was going to read one of Robert's poems tonight. I did my little research and was astounded at all the beautiful things that Robert wrote. But there was so much I couldn't decide. And of course, Avon just loved Robert and his work and their work together. So very dear, she spoke so highly of him. But I decided to go back to one of my favorite poets that always takes me back to my roots, John O'Donohue. And I chose a poem that really speaks to kind of the path I'm on right now. And I suspect that means that a lot of you might be on that path as well. I hope I can do it justice. In out of the way places of the heart, where your thoughts never think to wander, this beginning has been quietly forming, waiting until you were ready to emerge. For a long time, it has watched your desire, feeling the emptiness growing inside you, noticing how you willed yourself on, still unable to leave what you had outgrown. It watched you play with the seduction of safety and the gray promises that sameness whispered, heard the waves of turmoil rise and relent, wondered, would you always live like this? Then the delight, when your courage kindled, and out you stepped onto new ground, your eyes young again with energy and dream, a path of plenitude opening before you. Though your destination is not yet clear, you can trust the promise of this opening. Unfurl yourself into the grace of beginning that is at one with your life's desire. Awaken your spirit to adventure. Hold nothing back. Learn to find ease in risk. Soon you will be home in a new rhythm, for your soul senses the world that awaits you.
That is so meaningful right now. Thank you. And he's one of my very favorite people to quote. I could quote him all night long. There's so many beautiful words on this planet. And I keep going back to something that I read it, as Maya Angelou said, it's the human voice that brings the words to their full potential, which you just now did, Tez. Thank you. Judith McDermott, would you like to be next? Judith, we can't hear you.
You're muted, Judith.
Didn't want the phone to bother one.
Thanks, Judith.
I've got something here and it's entitled Delight in Your Uniqueness. It's really cool.
Ooh.
A loving heart begins with loving oneself. Learn to honor your personal tastes and wishes. Your dreams and desires are meant to be fulfilled. Dare to venture into the unknown with or without a partner. Depend on no person, place, or thing for your happiness. Look within, and you'll discover you have all that you need. Love frees.
I love that. Look within.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hard thing to do sometimes, but it certainly is rewarding, isn't it, Judith?
Yes, it is. It needs to be refilled. We have to go after that and listen to it and read it again and try to remember all those things.
Well, you certainly are in the right place with Word and Life because there's so much spirit there. I just thank you for that. Thank you so much. Who would like to go next? God bless you. You want to be Sophia? You want to say something next? Or Joni? Joni, go ahead.
I have something that I found among Avon's papers.
For those of you who don't know, Avon Madison is the founder of Pathways to Peace, and Tess and Tammy and Joni are all carrying on this beautiful thing, and she passed very recently. Joni?
She put this together on January 1, 2007. A new year, new millennium thought, or I guess it was 2001, looks like a 7. A new year, a new millennium thought. Finish every day and be done with it. You have done what you could. Some blunders and absurdities no doubt crept in. Forget them as soon as you can. Tomorrow is a new day. Begin it well and serenely, and with too high a spirit to be cumbered with your old nonsense. This day is all that is good and fair. It is too dear with its hopes and invitations to waste a moment on the yesterdays. By Ralph Waldo Emerson, 1803 to 1882. And she ends it with, let us build together pathways to cultures of peace for succeeding generations.
If we could only remember those words. Those are such powerful words. Thank you for sharing that, Joni. Wow. And next, Sylvia, would you like to be next?
Sure. I'm going to share with you something that was written by Richard Evans, who was a past president of Rotary International. And since it's Christmas time, this is about Christmas. He says, are you willing to forget what you have done for other people and to remember what other people have done for you, to ignore what the world owes you and to think what you owe the world, to put your rights in the background and your duties in the middle distance and your chances to do a little more than your duty in the foreground? To see that your fellow men are just as real as you are, and to try to look behind their faces to their hearts, hungry for joy, to own that probably the only good reason for your existence is not what you are going to get out of life, but what you are going to give to life. Close your book of complaints against the management of the universe, and to look around you for a place where you can sow a few seeds of happiness. Are you willing to do these things even for a day? Then you can keep Christmas. Are you willing to stoop down and consider the needs and the desires of little children? To remember the weakness and loneliness of people who are growing old? To stop asking how much your friends love you and ask yourself whether you love them enough? Bear in mind the things that other people have to bear on their hearts, to try to understand what those who live in the same house with you really want, without waiting for them to tell you, to trim your lamp so that it will give more light and less smoke, and to carry it in front so that your shadow will fall behind you, to make a grave for your ugly thoughts and a garden for your kindly feelings with the gate open. Are you willing to do these things, even for a day? Then you can keep Christmas. And if you keep it for a day, Why not always? But you can never keep it alone.
Sylvia, that's powerful. Beautiful. Who said that? What year was it?
Richard Evans, and he was quoting Henry Van Dyke. Richard Evans, and past president of Rotary International.
Wow. You know, Sylvia, you have walked with some of the greatest people in Rotary, and I'm so grateful you're here tonight. Thank you. I just have to share one thing about Sylvia.
Thank you for asking me.
You're so welcome. Sylvia is the lady who got women into Rotary. After Sylvia fought for 11 years to they became the ex-Rotary Club of Duarte. And Sylvia pioneered women. She was the first woman president before they even let women in. And she went, and they went to the meeting and they said, "What are you doing here? You're a woman. We don't let women in." And she said, "Too bad, I'm the president of my club." This is a pioneer. We have pioneers here today. I can tell you stories about each of you, but you know, we're going to have more of these. So we'll keep those stories. But I had to tell you about Sylvia, because Sylvia, she just opens my heart every time I look at her, and I love her. Thank you. And I love all of you. Okay, Judith Harris, another pioneer in UNA USA. You cannot even imagine what this woman has done. Judith Harris?
Thank you, Barbara. I'm going to share about someone who made a huge difference in my life. He's retired now, but he was a pediatric cardiologist, and he saved my younger son's life. And this man is a very spiritual man, and he taught me so much. I met him the day that my son was born. Within hours after his birth, he appeared in my room and he said, there's some very serious problems, and I don't know what the outcome is going to be. And other people came in. So I won't tell you that part of the story. I can tell you now. I'll tell you the end, and then I'll tell you what this man did. This son, who wasn't expected to survive, I saw him today. He is 43 years old. He lives independently. He overcame a lot of challenges. He had a heart problem that was something that people our age had, and this cardiologist had never seen this in an infant. And he went to the National Institutes of Health, and it was a lot of drama. And he also later had very serious vision issues. He's totally deaf in one ear, which I didn't even know till he was about 2.5 and was talking. And his brother whispered in his ear, he said, "Talk in my other ear, I can't hear you." But he was doing so well that I had no idea. So he is a miraculous person. And what this doctor said to me, I had an older son too at the time, and he said to me this was several years later, we became friends, very close friends, and he said to me I was struggling with just life, and I didn't think I was doing very well, and I should be doing more and giving more. And he wrote me a card and sent it to me, and I still have it. He said, "Everyone is exactly where they are supposed to be, doing exactly what they are supposed to be doing." And what he was politely saying was, back off. Keep going, keep going, you're doing okay. And you don't know where you're going to end up. You don't know what's going to happen. And you don't really have control. You can do your best with the human abilities that you have, but you don't get to be in charge. So just kind of stay out of your own way. Stop tripping over your own feet. And he did it in the most loving, gentle way. He talked a lot about love. And I learned so much from this man. And it was because of him that I did have a career in the field of blindness. I worked with babies who were deafblind, multiply disabled, and then older children. And I really credit him with helping me along the way. So he has been my inspiration and friend. I have lots of things that he sent me over the years. And he just taught me that it's keep going, and that there's enough love in the world for everyone. And he was so humble. I'll just finish with saying, my son was in critical condition and he was rushed to the hospital. And while they were working on him, we picked up the older son was at a school across the street from the hospital. And the doctor was walking down the hallway with us. And my older son, who was 9 at the time, looked at him. He said, I have a question for you. I thought, oh my gosh, what's this? He's a very bright kid. I thought, oh my gosh, what's he going to come up with? And I was really afraid to hear what he was going to say, because I think I knew what he was going to ask. And he asked. And we were standing in the hallway in the hospital corridor, and he said, is my brother going to die? And I thought that I would, on the spot, hearing my child ask that. And I was really afraid. It was before I knew him well. And this doctor and friend later. And my heart stopped. I thought, what is he going to say to my child that isn't going to ruin him for life? I mean, how do you answer that kind of a question? And he got down on his knees so that he was at eye level with this child. And he said, his name is Carrie. He said, Carrie, I don't know. He said, my job is, he said, everyone is born and everyone dies. And some people have a longer life and some people have a shorter life. And my job is to help your brother to have a longer life. And Carrie's next comment looked at me and he said, can we have McDonald's for dinner?
That's so beautiful, Judith.
I've been very fortunate to know some incredible people, but I'm not a very fast learner, but we had many, many long conversations, and most of it was get out of your own way. Just let things happen, and they will.
What wisdom, what wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Judith, I just thank you for sharing that personal story. It means a lot to all of us. Thank you. Elizabeth, did you have something you want to read? Now, you know, Elizabeth has many, many books. I have them in my library and I drag them out. And that's when I get motivated to do a little more than I thought I could. Elizabeth, please.
Well, I'm not going to read anything. I'm going to say a few things I have remembered all my life, for a long time from the world of literature. And I guess let me start with a kind of snarky one from Mary Oliver, my favorite contemporary poet. In the opening lines of Wild Geese, she says, "You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees 100 miles in the desert repenting. You only have to love what the soft animal of your body loves." And I've always thought that was a wonderful way to remember my own childhood when I'd pull baby bunnies out of rabbit holes and put them in my sunsuit to hold them against my skin and then put them back. And the grown-ups were saying, oh, the mother won't come back if you touch them. The mother did come back because the mothers knew that little children are not dangerous to their little children. And so I love those lines. And then from the ancient world, my favorite poets are Rumi, for example, with single lines like, "There are 1,000 ways to kneel and kiss the earth." And what that means is that everyone has to find what they love doing to make a better world, and that all of us together can do it. There are 1,000 ways to kneel and kiss the earth, to honor it. And then Hafiz, the last one, Hafiz, also a Sufi poet, said, "Never once in all this time has the sun said to earth, 'Earth, you owe me.' Look what happens with a love like that. It lights up the whole sky."
Beautiful. Thank you for remembering them so well and quoting them, Elizabeth. Elizabeth is one of the pioneers about the environment. And this woman, she did the walk in time. She didn't get all the credit she deserved, but there's so much that she has done. She's like the sun. She didn't need to be thanked. Her wisdom is there forever. And I'm going to go to Tammy next, and then I'm going to ask Joyce. Joyce started today, and then I'm going to have Joyce to be our last speaker. Tammy?
So to be honest, I wasn't quite clear what I was supposed to do. So I thought I was supposed to share a book that I liked over the year. And this book, is it backwards? Maybe it looks
no, it's
backwards.
Perfect.
Okay. This is a really interesting book.
Read the title out loud, Tammy. What is the title?
Whiteness Is Not an Ancestor.
Good.
And so, as I mentioned in my introduction, I live in Minneapolis. The George Floyd situation happened about 10 miles from my home, so it greatly impacted me. And I ended up joining a race relations group so that we were learning all about different races in particular. And this book, Whiteness Is Not an Ancestor, is one of the books that I read over the past year. The author is Lisa Iverson, Iversen. And it's 12 essays by white women from all over the world, mostly the US. Actually, though, there's some Canadians. And it's a really interesting concept in that it takes a look at family constellations and how that family lineage is passed through the generations. And one of the stories that I want to share was a woman that was in Colorado, and I believe it was her great grandfather was the governor of Colorado, and he made the choice to massacre one of the Native American Indian fights while he was in administration. And so she has that in her cells, she has that in her bloodline. And so as she was doing this family constellation work, she went back and went to the site where the massacre happened, is now working with the Native American tribes there, and is doing all this incredible healing. And so just really beautiful. It's a really beautiful work, beautiful essays. And yeah. And then I share language through music. So if you would like, I can play another song. As I have listened to all of you tonight, the song that keeps coming to me is a song that's called Healers of the Heart. And this is a song that you won't recognize, but that's actually perfect because that'll just allow you to go inside and just reflect and be in your piece of everything that's transpired so far with our group.
That is just absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Tammy. And I don't know if you know how much my heart is thanking you. The tears in my eyes show you that how much it meant to me to hear that. Thank you. And now I'm going to ask Joyce. She started us off with her thoughts to begin with. And now, Joyce?
Well, following Tammy is sort of a hard thing to do because that was so beautiful. And this has been such an interesting and a lovely time. I've really enjoyed meeting all of you. I had some things I was thinking about before the meeting because Barbara had talked about what she wanted, and I couldn't quite decide what it was. And something that Tez said really struck a nerve. So rather than read something that somebody else wrote, I want to tell a little bit of a story and then read something I wrote today. One of the women that I really admire, one of the many women I really admire, is a woman named Sam Horn. She's a consultant, works more in the corporate world, and so she's probably not familiar to a lot of us, but she's very wise. And today she was on Facebook, she was talking about taking a philosophy course in college. And the professors basically said, before you start to study the ancient philosophers, I want you to write your philosophy. And I was struck by that. And I thought, I've been in the corporate world and, life, and everybody says, write your mission, write your purpose, write your goals, especially at this time of the year. And I thought, but the one thing I've never done is write a philosophy. So the first thing I had to do was go look up philosophy on Google to even see what a philosophy was, so that I could even get started. And I've got this on my phone, so I'm going to have to find it again because it just went away. Hold on just a second. Okay. So the definition I found for philosophy was truths about themselves, the world in which they live, and their relationships to the world and to each other. So that's what I set out and said, okay, with that as the definition, what would I write? And what came out was, it's all infinite onion. We can never know ourselves completely, nor comprehend the universe in which we live. Every step we take into the great mystery reveals a new layer of wonder, an additional palace of possibility, and that's what Tez prompted me on, the palace of possibility, revering each step on the path, each companion on the journey, each twist and turn of fortune, and sharing the gifts of wisdom collected along the way is each hero's journey. And I really believe, after listening to all of you tonight, that we are all heroes. We are all sharing the wisdom we've collected. We've all been here long enough to collect a big bucket or a big basket of wisdom. And I'm so excited about life right now because I think that's what we're doing. We're all sharing the wisdom we've been gathering along the way. So this has been a delight. Thank you.
Well, I think you actually did very well after the beautiful harp. Judith would tell you that, and Tess would tell you that, and Joni would tell you that. We'd all tell you that, Joyce.
Yes,
we loved what you said. Joyce writes like nobody I know. Just look up Joyce Wyckoff. Listen to her podcast on peacepodcast.org. She doesn't like to look at herself, so I tell her, turn off the video. Just listen to your wisdom. Listen to your words. The words that this woman writes. She's given blog loving every time she writes. She's on the 17th of every month. Tell everybody what you write, Joyce.
Well, some years ago, I decided that we are all going to die, even me, and that I should get a little more in tune with death and think about it. And basically because I think contemplating our death helps us appreciate our life. So I was born on the 17th of December. So I picked June 17th as my death day. And I started thinking about that. But I realized after a while that thinking about that once a year really wasn't enough. So on the 17th of every month, I write a love letter to my life. And when I started that, I thought, it's going to be interesting to see how many of these I write. Well, I just finished the 42nd one. So I think, that's been a pretty good thing. But it really has changed the way I think about my life, changed the way I think about the world and our call to service and all of that. So on my blog, which is joycewyckoff.com, there is a section called Love Letters if you're interested in any of those. But I think it's turned out to be a very impactful practice. So thank you.
Well, I just had to share that.
One more thing. I do think some really brilliant. Okay. Can I make one suggestion, Barbara?
Sure.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I think so much brilliant stuff has been said tonight and read and everything. I would like to invite everybody to share what you read, to share some of the thoughts you shared, whatever you want to do. I'd be happy to collate it all into a document and send it back to you.
Wow.
So you can send it to me or Barbara, either one, I don't care. My email is jwyckoff, JWYCOFF @me.com.
Well, would you all mind if I sent her the video also from tonight so that she can do this? Do you know what a gift this is? Do you know this is one of the most brilliant writers I have ever met? And every time I say anything, I'm going to tell you a little secret. She always says, "Someday I hope to be the woman Barbara thinks I am."
That is my goal. That is my goal.
Can you put that email in the chat box?
She put it in the chat
sure.
box. She can do that.
I forgot you had a chat box.
And as down at the bottom, it says chat, and you know that, Joyce. And then just go to chat, and then you can put, it's jwyocf@gmail.com. But I'll send that to all of you when we're done.
Oh, it's not. It's me.com. I'm sending it right now. Whoops.
JY.
No, I wrote it wrong.
That's right. She's
Don't look at the
me.com.
first one. Look at the second.
That'll be easy to remember. Now you see, I see some tears tonight because we all felt that this love letter to ourselves, the love letter to my life. And so I was trying to figure out, how can we, after we've shared from our hearts and our souls and from the people who have inspired us, I think of all the people who have inspired me, from my mother to my sister to my friends to the children I taught with Judith McDermott. We were teaching, and these children, these precious beings, trusting us to listen to us and learn from us. And this is what we all are. We're all teachers. I used to say, I never wrote the book that I wanted, but my mission is, my life is my mission. And I think you probably feel the same way. Your life is your mission. Wherever you are, you're in the right place. And I think that came up so often tonight. And I want to thank each of you for joining us. I knew just 10 women could change the world, and I think we have. And Joyce, thank you for your generous offer. I will send you the video. I haven't seen anybody shake their head no, because we know what you'll do. You'll give us a love letter to our meeting, a love letter to the people we want to remind that we are here. We're here for you, and we're here for each other. And we've taken a step forward. So I have this little book. Robert and I went to Findhorn for our honeymoon. It was paid for by a woman who was very close to the founder of Findhorn. Findhorn was found in Scotland by Eileen Caddy. Listen to this. Eileen Caddy had 5 children, but she had a vision. She should leave those 5 children and her husband and go to Findhorn and start a community. And she did. And she fell in love. And this community just recently had a burning of their main dining room. But other than that, it is still alive and well. There's so many miracles. So I want to read from Eileen Caddy, because when she took that risk of leaving her 5 children, which I don't even know if they ever forgave her, but she went to Findhorn to do a community that would allow the squashes and the cabbages to become gigantic. They learned how to talk to the divas of all nature and all life. And every day I read from her. And today, December 31st, this is a channel from God to her. She said she would go to the bathroom and hang out and listen to what God said. And this is what he said to her on December 31st. Once you have taken a step forward in faith, never look backwards or start regretting what you have left behind.
Wow.
Simply rejoice and expect the most wonderful future and see it come about. Leave all the old behind, and it is finished. Be grateful for the lessons you have learned, and I'm going to cry, for the experiences you have had, because that's what I do all the time, and for the experiences that helped you grow and have given you deeper understanding. Therefore, let go, release the past, and move forward with your heart filled with love and gratitude. And that's what I feel for each of you. I'm moving forward with the love and gratitude that you have shared with me tonight. We could have invited a lot more women, but I have this divine sense. The right people show up. Joy said, well, who do we want to have? And I said, I'm going to get on the phone and I'm going to call people that I know need to be here. And an hour later, I called her and I said, we have 10 people, 10 women. And she said, you're amazing, Barbara. So I wrote that on a piece of paper and it's right in front of me. You're amazing, Barbara. And I want you each to do that. Write that down. You're amazing, Elizabeth. You're amazing, Judith Harris. You're amazing, Sylvia. You're amazing, Joyce. You're amazing, Joni. You're amazing, Judith. You're amazing, Ann. Tammy, you're absolutely amazing, and Tess. Each of us are amazing because of those who have walked before us, who have left their wisdom. And now we get to walk that path. And maybe someday they'll quote us. They'll say, I remember when Barbara said I was amazing. And my mother said I was amazing, because we are amazing. But it's very hard to hear it sometimes. As Joyce says, I hope to be the woman Barbara thinks I am. And I want you to all know how much I think of you, because this is our time. As the tears flow, that's when our heart is open. And so, Tammy, let's finish with Old Lang Syne. And then I want to thank you again. And if anybody here has any reason to think that they don't want to have Joyce do this, let me know. But I think we're all in agreement, Joyce. And we're going to have a little bit of harp. And thank you, Tammy, for bringing your harp and your heart. And all of you, thank you all. And have a very beautiful 2022. I have a feeling we're going to be surprised by the joy and the miracles, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yes. All of you.
Right.
And you leave when you want. I'm not going to say goodnight. I'm just going to say blessings and good year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Love you. Love you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to close our meeting with grace and love and blessings.
Thanks, Barb.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, everyone.